Okay, in this video I'm going to show you my strat against the Gunsmoke boss Tusk Beasteel Predator using the burn team. By using a V6 QJ, V6 Sakura, V2 Vector, V6 Chihua, and I'll be borrowing a V6 Lewis. Now I use this setup because Lewis will put her dolls in the two closest units, which in this case will be Vector and Sakura. I don't want Chihua to get one of the dolls because then she would have to attack before Lewis, and I want Chihua to be the last one to attack so I can get the most stacks of Scorch Mark on the boss before she uses her ultimate. Now, two things about the boss you need to know is the boss will apply a buff to the nearest and the furthest doll called Predator's Brand, which is attack is increased by 10%. And when it's cleansed, all ally units gain 1 stack of Clarion of Counterattack for 2 turns, which is damage dealt is increased by 50%. Stacks up to 2 times. 2 units with Predator's Brand, both cleansed, would give you the 2 stacks of Clarion of Counterattack. So you want to make sure you get those Predator Brands cleansed when you can, which will only happen when the boss uses this attack called Terminal Scorched Earth. The turn before he actually does the attack, he will put down the red tile so you know where it's going to hit. And in that turn, when you see the red tiles, is where you want your 2 units that have the Predator's Brand on one of the red tiles so they can get hit by the attack and it'll cleanse it. If the target has Predator's Brand, cleanses all instants of Predator Brand. And that's when you get your 2 stacks of Clarion Counterattack. Before he does this attack, however, he'll do another attack called Repulsion Search, which has a knockback effect up to 2 tiles, and it also applies Shackle, which is a debuff where you can't move, and Caged Beast, which is a buff, which is damage dealt is increased by 30%. Combining Caged Beast with your 2 stacks Clarion of Counterattack would be a 60% increase in damage dealt. So it's important to know which 2 units will have the Predator's Brand. That way you can get both stacks cleansed when the time comes to try to maximize on the damage dealt increase buffs. I'm going to start with QJ. I'm going to put her right here. Ultimate. Then I'm going to move Vector to the left of QJ. Use her ultimate. And then her skill 1. Then I'm going to use Sakura skill 1. Put her here. And use her ultimate. And I'm going to move Lewis here because that's as close as I can get to the boss with her on this turn, and use her skill 2. And Chihuahua's going to use her skill 2. And then before I use her ultimate, the boss will use the repulsion attack. Repulsion Surge on turns 2 and 5 on his turn. So you need to have your units in position to get hit by it so you can get the Caged Beast buff, which is a 30% increase in damage dealt. They're only, if you It has a range of within 4 tiles. What I like to do is I like to place my units in these 5 tiles here, or in the 3 tiles behind them here. I'll go ahead and use her ultimate. Start with QJ's ultimate. Vector skill 2. And Sakura's going to use her skill 2. Then we're going to move Lewis to the left to Sakura and have her use her ultimate. And Chua's going to use her skill 1. And I was just saying before, the next, when the boss goes, it's going to use its repulsion surge. And you have to be within 4 tiles. These 5 tiles and then these 3 right here are all within the 4 tiles for that attack. That's where I usually prefer to put my units, so they get hit by that repulsion surge, so they all get the Caged Beast buff, which is damage dealt increased by 30%. Okay. So as you're saying, there's the debuff Shackle. And then we have the buff Caged Beast. Damage dealt is increased by 30%. We're going to have QJ use her ultimate. Now Vector's going to use her ultimate, and this ultimate will also cleanse everyone's debuffs. And I'll use her skill 1. And since I cleanse the debuffs, now I can move my units. I'm going to have Sakura use her skill 1. Skill 1. And her skill 2. And now I can move Lewis here thanks to the fact that I cleansed the shackle. I'm going to have her the closest, so she'll be getting the Predator's brand, because after he cleanses it, he reapplies it to the closest, the nearest and furthest doll. This will make Lewis the closest, and I'll move Chihua back to make her the furthest. Then I'll have Chihua use her skill 2 back here. Still hits the boss. And have her use her ultimate. The AoE goes off. Both Sakura and Chihuahua's Predator brand have been cleansed. Lewis and Chihuahua get the new application of Predator's brand. And now, if you look, not only do I have Caged Beast, I also have 2 stacks of Clarion of counterattack. So we're going to start with QJ, have her go up 1 tile, ultimate. Vector's going to go up 2 tiles, skill 2. Sakura's going to move to the left of Lewis here, and then she's going to use her ultimate. And Lewis is going to use her ultimate. And Chihuahua is going to come up here to the boss and use her skill 1. We're going to have QJ use her ultimate. Vector. Now I'm not using Vector's ultimate this time because I need it to cleanse the shackle after the boss uses Repulsion Surge, which he'll be using on his turn. So I'll save it for the next turn. So I'm just going to use her skill 1. Then Sakura is going to go skill 1. Skill 1. And skill 2. Lewis will use her skill 2. And then we're going to have Chua go back 1 tile so she can use her skill 2 back in position. Then her ultimate. Okay, so QJ is going to use her ultimate. And with Vector, as you can see, we do have the shackle debuff, and I saved her ultimate just for this case here. This will cleanse it. And I'll use her skill 2. And since I don't have shackle anymore, I can move my units. I would move Sakura here and use her skill 2, but before I do that, it will kill the boss. After her, I would use Lewis's ultimate. I wouldn't move her because she's got the Predator brand on, so she needs to be in the red tiles to get hit by the AoE. And then Chihuahua would use her skill 1. I'd move her back here and use her skill 1. And if the boss is still alive on turn 7, I would use QJ's ultimate. Vector would use her skill 1. Sakura would use her skill 1 and her ultimate. Then Lewis would use her skill 2. And Chuhua would use her skill 2 and ultimate. So let's go ahead and finish the boss. And that is my strat with the burn team. If you want to take a look at the stats. And that's it.